Hello there, it's Karen here from Crafty Little Miss K, and I have got something a bit different for you this time. I am taking part in a Tic Tac Toe challenge. It's a blog hop. There's a group of us, all from Stampin' Up. We're all Stampin' Up demonstrators, and we are all going to be taking part in this challenge. And I can't remember how many of us offhand there are, but it's quite a few. So a blog hop is where you, and my blog details are all down below. They're always down below. If you go to my blog and you read all about what I'm making, you go down to the bottom, there'll be a next button. You click on that, you'll go to the next person on the list, and then you read their information, look at their pictures, go down, click on next, and so on. And you'll end up going in like a big circle, come back to me. But we're all using this challenge as our theme. So there'll be lots of different ideas because there's 9 squares on here. So there's lots of different ways you could do it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ways you could do it. No, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 ways you could do this. So if I bring this up a bit closer, so you can actually see the choice we've got. I've chosen the top line to go straight across, and it's just like noughts and crosses really in the UK. So we've got Christmas with some embossing and a circle. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that up to one side, and I'm going to show you the card I've made. I had actually filmed this last week, but I accidentally deleted the film while I was editing it, so I'm having to do it again. Anyway, so the card I'm making is this one, and if I just bring it up close, you can see there's the circle element, there's the embossing, and obviously the whole theme is Christmas because it's Father Christmas, okay, or Santa if you're over in the UK, over in America. So I've actually got 2 here, one without the embossing on it, but I've done the same thing, only the moon's moved. So let's get on, and I will show you what I've used to make it. So first of all, I'm using this embossing folder, which is called Softly Falling, and I'm going to use it this way up so it looks like the snow coming down. And then the stamps I'm using, if I just put to one side for a sec, the stamps I'm using is Hearts Come Home for the Father Christmas here, and then I'm using Lovely as a Tree because I want this little group of trees down here. And then the sentiment, if I just bring this back real quick, the sentiment on the front here comes from this stamp set. It's Season's Greetings from Our Home to Yours. And then inside, got this really nice one again from this set here. And that's May the beauty of the season fill your heart with joy. Okay, so that's those. So let's pop those off to one side. I'm also going to be using a circle punch, and I didn't get my post-it notes. I need some post-it notes. I always forget something when I'm doing these films. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm going to do that in a minute. In the meantime, this is the card I'm using. It's Whisper White thick card. Okay, so you've got a nice firm base on it. It's 11.5 by 5 3/4, and then scored at 5 3/4, which is 29.2 centimeters by 14.5. And then this is part going to be inside, and this one is 5.5 by 5.5, or 14.5 by 14.5 centimeters. Same with the blue, exactly the same size, 5.5 by 5.5. And then this is shimmer card. This is Stampin' Up shimmer card, and I can see that it's just a slight sheen and a slight glitter to it. And this is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, which is 12 by 12. Okay, so it's slightly smaller than my first one I did. All right, so that's that. So let's pop those off to one side. I'm going to do the embossing in a second, but I just want to move those off to one side for the set for now. I'll do the stamping afterwards. I want to use that one, and I want to use this one first of all. So I'm going to bring in my big shots. Now I always keep my magnetic plate on here, which has to be changed because it has to be a slightly thinner plate. So if you have a big shot, it's the plate that it comes with you want to be using. So I'm just grabbing that now off my shelf, just that one. And you'll need just no, you'll need both of the plates that go with it as well. Now what have I done with them? There we go. Because if you're using a thicker embossing folder, you just need one, but this one's a bit thinner, so you'll need both of them. So let's get that going first of all, and let's get my embossing folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put it right up to into the hinge because that'll make the card bow just slightly. So I'm just going to move it away from the hinge, but try and put it in the middle. And then when you put it through the big shot, make sure the folded edge goes in first. Okay, that's just to stop it from catching and breaking and ruining everything. It's a bit firm to start off with, but it does go through fairly easy. So that's that, and that's all I need that for. Okay, so I've got this lovely now snow effect coming down on this blue card. You could have it that way if you wanted to, but I've got a thing about holes, so I'm going to put it this way. Alright, so that's that. Move that out the way. And then we're going to concentrate on getting the background all inked up first of all. So I'm going to be getting all this, because this started off this colour, both of them, and I'm going to make this sky and the shadowy effect there. So first of all, I need to sort out the moon, and I always use a couple of pieces of post-it note just to make sure that if one of them curls up accidentally while I'm sponging, it doesn't ruin the image. So that's that. And this is 1.5 inches. I think on my blog I might have used a smaller one. I can't remember now. My blog's off to one side on the computer there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the moon, I think, let's get the stamps out to give me an idea where I'm going to put that moon, because I want it just peeping up from the trees. So it's just like the moon's just rising. So I'm going to pop the trees about there, so I've got room for my sentiment at the bottom, and I want that moon just coming up behind the trees there. So I put that there, and I'm going to use a piece of paper as backing so I don't get ink all over this. And as you can see, this is what I used the other day. And one last thing is I'm going to wear a glove. Now I wouldn't normally do this, but I am going to a work meeting tonight, and I really don't want to go there with blue fingers. And the last time I did this, I had blue all over my hands. I'm going to take a chance with this hand. I'm just going to wear this one, which I don't like these things, but you know, needs must when you're going to a meeting at work. Anyway, so, and of course the first thing I've done is caught my glove in the thing. So I'm going to be using Balmy Blue and Blueberry Bushel, and the other one is Night of Navy. That's the 3 blues for the card. So what I'm going to do first of all is give it a nice little squeeze, bring it, get some ink on it, and it does sit on the surface, so just dab off to one side first of all, and then in slow circular motions, don't press too hard, just start getting the ink onto your card. And if I just do this corner bit, I'll show you how it looks a bit closer. You can add ink to it, so do it nice and light first of all, because otherwise you'll end up with a scratchy bit. I don't want to do it to show you because I won't be able to fix it. But yeah, just nice and easy first of all. So if I just bring that up to show, you can just see it starting to colour now. I'm going to do all the way round, but I want to leave an area here with very little ink on it, because I want to make that, obviously it's going to be snow. So I'm going to pause for the minute and I'll come back when I've done this bit. Okay, so I am back temporarily. I've done the first layer of ink. It's a little bit blotchy in places, but it's all going to be smoothed out when I do the next layer. So that's my Balmy Blue, and I'm taking Blueberry Bushel. These are all Stampin' Up! Ink colours, and the Blueberry Bushel is what they call an in colour. Stampin' Up! Every year brings out a set of 5 colours, and they last just for a couple of years and then they retire again, and this is one of the ones for this year, so this will go 2018 to 2020. Okay, so this is going to make it look a little darker now. We're going to start building up the nighttime effect. Alright, and I really love, you could go straight from the light to the dark without this bit in the middle, but I really love this colour, so I'm just going to incorporate that into the sky. And as you can see, it's got bits of a sponge on there. As you can see, it's starting to darken down nicely. You're starting to get the feel for night time. So I shall carry on with this, and I shall come back when it's done. Otherwise you'll be sitting here just watching me do little circles, and we don't want that. Okay, so that's the next layer complete. And now the dark layer, this is one of the old stamp pads, and this is Night of Navy, as I said. Now well, the idea is, this one is, I'm just going to darken up the sky, do a little bit around the edge, but I'm not going to put any more colour in the middle, and I'm not going to put any more blue down here, just apart from just to darken around the edges. But I'm really going to go for it on the sky part. So if we just start inking this up, I'll show you. Just to start off with. Let's move that away from there so you can actually see the colour getting onto the card. So as you can see, it's really getting dark, and any astronomer will know wherever the moon is, it's quite light, but it'll be darker off this one, off the side here. Now if I bring that up, you can see how dark that's getting now. Okay, and I shall come back when it's done. Okay, I'm done. I did manage to get blue on my fingers on the other hand, so okay, I've got one hand clean. Anyway, so I'm all done now. So that was quite hard actually, doing that sponging with the glove on, so I'm not sure if I'll do that again. Okay, so I'm ready now for the reveal with the moon. So there we go, lovely and bright. We'll get rid of that, and I'm ready now to do my stamping. So to help me to get my positioning right, I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and this is a lovely little tool to help you to make sure you get a nice clean image. Now I've always found that when I'm using the larger stamps like this one, that I tend to need to do it twice because I don't always get it right the first time, and so this is why I use the Stamparatus. And I'm just going to bring out the other magnet from underneath. Usually I can make do with one magnet, but I want to make sure this card doesn't move. Okay, so we're going to put the trees across there, and they're going to be up where the, move up again, where the moon is peeping over, like that, because obviously the sentiment's got to go in that light space down there, so that's going to be quite high up there, I think. Try and get it as near to the middle as you can, and then that's that bit done. And then for this I'm using Memento Black, and I shall probably ink up and stamp twice just to get a really nice good dark image on those trees, because I've made the card quite dark. So just press it down. That's it, that's the first bit done. That little fleck there is from the ink, that's not from the stamp or anything, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. Okay, so I'm just going to ink it up and just press again just to make sure that's a really dark image on those trees. That's much better. Okay, and then I have got my chamois close by, which is lovely. All you do is just load it up with a bit of water from the tap, and it just takes all that ink off there, and then just wash them out afterwards. So that's that bit done. Now I want Father Christmas next, so let's get the other stamp set out. Let's pop this one away. And bring out this one. Now there's one thing I have decided, I don't want that moon quite so bright there, so I might just bring back the lighter blue. I did this on the other moons as well, just created a bit of like a misty effect. I'm not going to re-ink it up, but I will just grab that paper just to make sure I'm not putting too much ink on the card. Take some of that off. Okay, and then I'm just going to just very lightly, just make sure, that's it, just very lightly create a little bit of mist across the moon like that. That's it, that's all I'm doing. It's just to take the starkness off so it's not quite as bright. Okay, so now we're going to have Father Christmas doing an ET moment across the sky right there, and more of the black. Make sure he's got really covered up, because I found that these silhouette type ones, sometimes the ink doesn't sit. Yeah, he's a little bit patchy there. So I'm just going to pop that on again. Again, this is the beauty of the Stamparatus. It just means that you can just pop the, you don't have to worry about getting it spot on. What's the likelihood of you being able to stamp a stamp like that twice in the same place? Beautiful. Okay, so let's take the ink off of that. Wonderful. Pop that away in this case so I don't lose it. Oops. That way around. And then I might as well do the greeting while I'm here. So just swap. I've just put the case under there just to help with the hinge, because obviously if I lift it up a bit, they only go certain distance, and I really don't want to snap the hinge on these. They are repositionable, so you can put them there. I've got another spare plate, or you can even do this. I'll have to do a video showing how you do the steps to sequence on it. Really clever. Okay, so here we go. It's still not in its, still just loose in the box from last time, and I just want to make sure it's up the right way, and I want to position that on here and I'm going to put it about there. And then just to make sure, because I know the card is straight because I've followed the grid lines, I'm just going to lift that off for a second, and just because it's got grid lines on here too, I'm just going to make sure, yep, that's straight on there as well. Excellent. And then more ink. And these are photopolymer stamps, these clear ones, and they stamp beautifully. And I just needed a little bit more pressure on that last bit there. I always do that. I always miss that last G off. So let's press a little bit harder there. That's better. Okay, so that's that. So again, you can use a chamois on these ones as well. Right, I'll put the ink away temporarily, although I might do the greeting inside actually while I've got the Stamparatus out. So let's just swap that over for the other one. It'll give the ink, this blue ink, a chance to dry off a bit more anyway before I go to the next stage. Where's my card? There it is. So I want the white bit this time. And again, I'm just going to use the grid lines to position it to make sure it's nice and straight. And definitely need 2 of these magnets now. The reason I wrap this magnet is because these are quite strong, and if they go too close together they will snap together, and they have been known to actually shatter. So I've wrapped one just to have a bit of cushioning, just in case that happens. Now I'm just going to try and position that roughly where I want it, so that it's about even like that. Pick it up, and as you can see, it's gripping the paper or the card. So I'm just going to push that back down again, making sure it's following those, so it's nice and straight. And I'm still going to be using the Memento Black, just ink it all up. And I've got a little bit of extra ink on. I'm just going to grab a bit of tissue just to wipe that off, because I don't want that to transfer. And here we go. So it's pressed down. And that's lovely. I don't have to redo that for the first time. So let's put the ink away now so it doesn't go over my fingers. Let's bring in my chamois again just to make sure that's nice and clean. And then that can go back in its case. Okay, so I can take this away now. That's that bit done. Oh look, I've done it again. I did this the other day. I think I've got ink on here, so I'm going to have to put some cover on that, because I had ink on it before as well. It's created a little smudge there. I'll see if I can take that off later. Okay, so we're back to this one. And what I want to do now is do the stars. And to do that, I have just got, you can use a white gel pen if you want, but I've actually got the chalk marker from Stampin' Up. That's not the chalk marker, that's the blender pen. Where's my chalk marker? Here we go. So I've just got the Stampin' Up chalk marker. And I'm just going to do little random dots in the sky. And I'll do little clusters and then further out. I mentioned astronomy at earlier when I was doing the sponging, and my dad's an astronomer, and he's taught me that when the moon's out you don't see so many stars because the moon sort of like shades them, you know, it's too bright. So I'm only going to do a few, so that's that one done. And then I'm going to glitter up the trees. I'm going to use some old stuff, so it's contraband, so don't tell anyone. And I'm going to be using the fine tip glue pen, and this could go very, very wrong because it's really hard to get the thing back in again, because it's a really fine tip, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do little dots in the tree, just random, no particular pattern to them. If you can hear music in the background, that's my son, my grown-up son. He's home today and he likes to play his music loud. And I actually don't mind the music because it's not awful, sort of like, I don't know, I don't really want to diss anybody's taste of music, but it's stuff I don't mind listening to, let's put it that way. So now I've got to get this back in, because if I don't, it'll dry up and then I will just have to throw it away. Now I've got my glasses on. I should put my light on as well, I think, just to see. That's it, did it. Now my light actually is showing that beautiful glisten, but let's get the glitter on first. I need a bit of paper. I've got an old scrap here from a project. Let's just fold that in half again. This is a project sheet I had for a class I did a few months ago. Okay, so I'm just going to now load up the glitter all over the trees. I'm going to be very generous. I mean, I've had this glitter for, well, since the Ark almost. It's been such a long time. And then just tap it off. Give it a little flick. And there we go. Beautiful. I'm just going to stand up to make sure you can actually see that. Let's bring it. You can see the glitter. Can you? I don't know if you can see the sheen on the card. It's absolutely beautiful in real life. Anyway, so that's that done. Let's just pop this away. Let's see if I can do this without knocking that little tube over. Oh, new post. That's it. Okay. I'll worry about that last little bit. And then just to finish off, the bits that are left on my worktop pop here, I'm just going to brush all over me because I don't mind being a bit glittery. Right, let's turn the light off temporarily because I think we've got enough light coming from the window. Okay, so it's time to make up the card. So what I will do, I'm just going to pause just for a second. Okay, the reason I paused is I just wanted to get my ordinary, just like a white rubber eraser, whatever you want to call them. And I've just rubbed over where that smudge was, and it's taken a lot of it off. It's not all gone, but it's taken a lot of it off, so they're quite happy with that. Now I've got bits of rubber everywhere. That's it. Right, take that off to one side for a second. I think we'll do the inside first. And I always like to use wet glue, so I've got this Tombow glue here, multi-purpose glue. And just around the edges. You don't need too much because it's really good. It's a really good product, this. And let's make sure it's up the right way. And then this will just sort of like have a little white border around it, like that. Okay, and then we can get on with the front then. So we'll start off with this one, and because this one's embossed, I'm actually going to use a bit more glue because a lot of it will just disappear into those little holes there. I think it's a name for a phobia of holes, isn't it? I don't know what it is though. It just makes me feel creepy. It makes my skin crawl on my back. I don't mind the bumps, but it's the holes. So let's just pop this on here. Make sure the borders are nice and even. Now, obviously, what I would normally do is I'd normally get my bone folder and give it a good old rub down, but I don't want to take that embossing away, so I'm just going to use my hands to press down like that. And then come in with this one now, and same again. That's it. Do you know what? I've just realised the glue wasn't dry on this. I've got bits of glue all over my paper now. Okay, and there we go. Now I have noticed one thing that I didn't do is on my other cards I extended the stamp to go to the edge. I did it on this one a little bit because the stamp is just a bit too small. I want it to be right across. So I've got my Stampin' Right pen and I'm using the narrow tip, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another bit of a snowbank here and another one coming in here. And I don't know if you can see this, I don't know if it will blur out or not. You can see it's kind of like a scribbly type line with some bits of grass. So I'm just going to do a bit of like that, both sides. Like that, and then I'm just going to do a few little tufts of grass peeking through that snow, and there we are. So you've extended the stamp to the edge, almost to the edge of the card, and that doesn't look too bad at all, I don't think. So that's it, that's my project done. That's my Tic Tac Toe challenge, and I've got lots of cards now, so this is a good start to Christmas. And oh, come down a little bit, you can't quite see that. Yes, I'm really pleased with how they've turned out, and I really like that. I love the Lovely as a Tree stamp. I use it a lot. yeah, definitely money's worth there. I've got my money's worth there. So I hope you like this project. If you do, let me know. If you don't, then anyway, I want to say a special thank you to everybody who has subscribed to me over the last few weeks. I say this almost every time I do one of these videos, but I'm amazed the amount of people who subscribe, and to me it just means you must like what I've done because you want to see more, and that really means the world to me. So thank you very much for your company. And yes, if you need any of the stuff I've got here, any of the supplies, all the details will be on my blog, which will be down below. There'll be a list of supplies there with all the item numbers on there. There's also a link to the Stampin' Up shop if you want to as well. And I do appreciate everybody who does order from me. I really appreciate your custom. And yeah, if you spend more than £40, I will send you a little something as a thank you. Yeah, so in the meantime, you can only order from me if you're in the UK or Europe, by the way, because I'm not allowed to cross borders into like America or Australia or anything like that. But yeah, if you hopefully you'll like what I've done, and I'll be back soon with another one. Bye for now.